Well, folks, after 2 months, almost 2 months, of trying to get the right gears for this, these core 44 axles made by G2, we had a whole lot of learning to do. I have to give kudos to the East Coast Gears for just really working with me on this. They have shipped me 3 different boxes with 3 different gears. Thomas and Steve there have never complained. They just, what do you need, Kev? Okay, this is the wrong stuff. It's just been a challenge. So when I bought the axles and I did the research, the axles claim that they used Dana 44 JK parts. These are supposed to be Dana 44s for direct bolt into TJs, not JKs, but they were supposed to make the axles heavier and stronger. Well, that's not the case. They used the same pinion and ring gear as the TJ model, Dana 35s and Dana 30s. The ring gear and everything, I mean, it's all good stuff. I bought the axles just because the axle diameters were thinner and I wanted to put bigger tires on. So I got bigger axles, and also these tubes are a lot more heavy duty. So anyway, long story short, to do this, back and forth, part numbers, bearing numbers, seal numbers, we finally ended up with all the stuff. So yesterday, I did the front axle. So the front axle is a traditional type setup. The back axle is pretty cool because where they adjust the backlash, they actually have these adjuster nuts that spin. So very easy to set the backlash. So I started out with this. See if I even have a bearing here. I do not. These pinions did not have shims between the bearing and the gear. The shims are actually on the bearing race that go in the housing. So I got the original measurement. It was 22 thousandths behind the bearing. I took the original bearing race and I polished around the outside of it where it didn't slip in, but I could tap it in pretty easy. And I used this to get the correct pinion depth. So how I set the pinion depth was I measured the original one, and I got this within a few thousandths of the original depth, knowing that I would have to have the clearance whenever it goes on, so I wouldn't hit the carrier, which in this case is an Eaton E-locker. So you only have a few thousandths to work with. You have to work with getting the correct gear pattern also, which is the pinion depth. So whenever these gears fit on here, which I'm not going to be able to do it here on the camera, but how they fit on here and how they wipe when they go through when they're spinning. So these are helical cut gears. There's a special pattern that you look at when you get done. So anyway, I set this up with the original shim pack thickness. I pretty much wiped out the shims when I was tapping them out. And I got everything set up. Once I got everything set up, this does not use the crush sleeves in here. They actually had shim packs where the bearing goes up against it. I like that much better. It was way easier to set it. So when I got the pinion in there to the depth that I liked, still had the old bearing race in there, I set up my shims so I could adjust it. I have an inch-pound torque wrench over there, and I set this where it was about 20, 22 pounds to spin it. I was using the old bearings. They're supposed to be like 6 or 7 pounds, but I knew that I was putting new bearings on when I got done. So anyway, I got this set up. Then when I pulled this bad boy out, I did the original measurements of the shims, and it was about 250 thousandths of shim between the two sides. And I've written down some of the stuff now, I don't remember, but I know it wasn't totally even. But between the shims, between the bearing race here and here, the total was 250 thousandths. I know that because my dad told me how to use this tool back in the day. So I used this caliper and set everything up. So I knew that I had to keep the total shim measurement 250 thousandths the whole time. It actually worked out really good. I'm at, I don't remember what I have now, but I think I'm at 95 and 155. but I was able to do that with 3 shims. So you get these shim packs that come in boxes. Of course, I don't have, yes, I do. So when you get your kits, you get all these different shims, and they got thin shims and thick shims. And I sat in here and measured shims till I came up with something that I liked. And then I had to work back and forth to set this up. And once I got it set up, I measured the shims. I took the thin ones out and just put in the ones that were thicker, because it made it much simpler to install. The backlash on this is from the book says 6 to 10 thousandths. I'm at 7, and I'm going to run it at 7. This is the front axle. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's nice. It's got just a little bit of a movement. Works out very well. When I ran my gear pattern, when I finally got my backlash and everything set right, it was perfect. I mean, literally right out of the book. I was so tickled. After 2 months of messing with this and getting this going, it was pretty cut and dry. So now I just got to get my plug set back up for my E locker. I got a big wiring mess. I got to wire. I got to put in some plugs in that. And I'm going to put in non-synthetic gear oil in here. I'm going to run my 500 miles break-in, and we're going to check it out. We're going to get good to go. I still have to install this in the Jeep. I still have to do the brakes. I have to cut the drive shaft down 2 inches. I got some work to do here, but I am so happy to do this. So today I'm going to tackle the back axle, which is the simpler axle. Still got a lot of measuring to do. Still got a lot of stuff to do to get the pinion in right, but I cannot thank East Coast Gears enough for helping me out, working back and forth. I got to do some returns. I told them that we've returned things so many times that I will take some responsibility for some of that cost too. But I got 2 boxes here to send back to them, and we're going to get that all taken care of. And again, they didn't sponsor me. I bought everything, but just the patience of the guys working with me and trying to help me figure this out. So guys, if you buy a G2 Core 44 axle, know what you got. They come with so many different options: open diffs, true tracks, Eaton lockers. The gearing's different. You have to know if you have 392 and down or 373 and up with the gear ratios. When I say that, I mean to go to higher gearing, 373, 331, 307, whatever. And mine happened to have a 410 in it, and I needed a thin cut gear. So the last set of gears they sent before I got these were actually the thick cut gears, which would have been fine if I would have had the other setup with the carrier. So what happens is you get, as you go to different gear ratios, when you go to higher numerical, lower gear ratios, I'm going from 410s to 513s, the pinion gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Ring gear stays about the same, but the thicknesses change. And when it gets it can only go so thick before you have to get a new carrier that's moved in. Or they make now thick cut gears, which were super wide. Yeah, that kind of freaked me out. But anyway, this isn't a job for the faint of heart, but it's not hard. You just have to have patience, which you can ask my wife. I'm not blessed with patience. When I'm thinking and I'm writing, I'm doing stuff, I'm not real communicative. And she comes out, wants to talk to me, and it's like, it doesn't take long. She gets up, packs her stuff, and goes back to the house. Who's done messing with me? But it's not because it's hard. It's just because you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. I actually lost track at one point of my 250,000 shims, and I was trying to force it, and it was like, man, this isn't going together. And then, again, write stuff down. I have a notepad that I keep with me. I have my pencil, I have my measuring, I have everything here, but you get up, I had to heat this up to put this on. I had this in the refrigerator. I had a bearing that I was pressing on. I had all this stuff going. I'm trying to get my shim straight. I got a big mess in here, which I'm not really good at working around a mess, but it's just been in and out so much that you just have to pull yourself back in, realize it really isn't that hard, pay attention to what you're doing, take pictures, because my stuff's been apart for so long. I knew that I had the big oil slinger on here and then the bearing. That was very simple. The other side, because I use shims, I had to keep track of the shims, because if you get that bearing too tight, it won't turn in the case, or if it's too loose, you don't have enough preload, so you have to have the right amount of shims in there. pay attention. And then when you do your final assembly, you got to put the seal on. You got to make sure you got the oil singer in the back. You got to make sure all the pieces of parts are on before you do the final assembly. And it does, like I said, take pictures, take your time, pay attention. You can do it. You have to buy some tools. I've got a dial indicator back here behind me. I didn't do set up for this video very well. I got my dial indicator in my base. Again, my dad was a machinist. I know how to use these tools. I've been a print maintenance guy for a million years. And so knowing how to use the tools is important. Having the tools is important. It's not really that expensive. I think I bought this one from Amazon for not much. And it works, and it's pretty solid. The calipers I've had for years, I've actually got a set of digital ones, but I get tired of putting batteries in them. It's not hard. Take your time, get your paint. I don't know if I can get this new gimbal thing, but put your paint on, check your pattern when you're done. I don't think it's going to show. This new gimbal thing's kind of automatic, and it's very weird. I have to learn Chinese, learn how to use it. But my wife bought that for me for Father's Day, so I thought I better try it out. Gearing 101, not a how-to, not a what for, just telling you you can do it. Be patient, do your math, have your ducks in a row. See you next time.